you. Welcome to the program. Thanks. Great radio stations across the land. iHeartRadio, Newsmax TV, JoePags.com. Glad to have you here on the Joe Pags Show for a Wednesday, and it is an absolute honor to have my paisan, my Goomba, my friend, Rudy Giuliani on the line. Mayor, how are you?
I'm good, Joe. How are you?
I'm doing great. You know, we go by Joe Pags, but of course everybody knows it's really Joe Pagliarulo, so you're in good company here.
All right, Joe.
We appreciate having you on. First and foremost, I don't know that enough people say this to you, but I'm going to say it anyway. Thank you so much for what you did after the attacks of 9/11. If it weren't for you, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart for my entire family, if it weren't for you, we would not have galvanized as we did as Americans and come together to fight that scourge that attacked us that day. I just want to give you, from my heart, a very heartfelt thank you.
Thank you very much, Pags, and I really appreciate that. It means a lot.
Yeah. How are you doing it, Rudy? Because I'm a lot younger than you are. I could never do the travel that you're doing right now for Donald Trump. How are you holding up?
I'm used to it. I travel a lot for business. I traveled a lot when I ran for president myself. I've campaigned in 5 presidential campaigns, so I know how to do this. And I believe in Donald Trump. I've known him for 28 years, and I spent 106 days campaigning with him.
Wow.
And now the last week and the last 6 days, we're going to try to reach the places he can't get to, or double up and make sure that we get out every last vote, because I think this election is an election that will determine America's direction for the next 20 or 30 years.
I couldn't agree more, and I think everybody watching and listening agree as well. But let me take you back to 28 years. When you meet this guy, what was your first impression? You're a guy who goes on impressions. What did you think of him?
A great guy, regular guy, the kind of guy you like to sit down and talk to and hang around with, play golf with. I mean, he's he wasn't a billionaire then. He was probably a millionaire, not a billionaire then. But for a guy who's a millionaire or a billionaire, he's like my father taught me to be. You know, my father always said, you judge a man by how does he treat the guy who's the waiter in the diner.
Right.
How does he treat the woman who's behind the counter at the department store? This is a guy who treats everybody like they're equal. I mean, it's amazing. That's why he has such appeal. I mean, here we have a guy who's a billionaire, who's a populist, who's getting people that would never think of voting for a Republican to vote for a Republican. And a lot of it has to do with his natural appeal to the regular guy, the regular woman.
Let's get into the nitty-gritty a little bit. It's America's Mayor, Rudy Giuliani. You were a prosecutor, a very successful prosecutor for a long time. You took a lot of people with last names like ours out, and New York was better because of it, and America was better because of it. Having said that, you get all the information on the Hillary Clinton email server, and you get all the information on the Clinton Foundation, and then you have the information that James Comey gave us back in July. Mr. Giuliani, is there any possibility in your mind that you would not prosecute that case?
No, it's just the opposite. In fact, James Comey was one of my assistant U.S. attorneys. He worked with me for three and a half years. I was shocked at his conclusion, because the case that in fact, I was actually shocked that he even wrote it that way. It was like he almost condemned himself. If you're going to not prosecute or write something that makes it look like she's innocent, instead, he wrote down.
No, it's a great point. You go for 13 minutes and explain her innocence. He didn't. He explained her guilt for 13 minutes.
It was like a summation. It was like a summation in a criminal trial, and the jury's ready to jump up and say guilty.
Yeah.
You know, she was extremely careless in handling national security information. She destroyed 33,000 emails. She bleached them. Bleaching emails, I mean, that's what criminals do. She had a guy who was hammering some of the cell phones. She claimed she had only one cell phone. She had 13. They've now all disappeared in thin air. I mean, she lied. There must have been at least 12 lies that I counted in that report. And then he goes to the fact of concluding that she was extremely careless, which makes you guilty under 18 U.S.C. Section 791. 791 doesn't require intent.
But he said it did. Why do you think he went there, to sort of cover his back?
He made it up. He made it up.
Yeah.
He made it up. It doesn't, and it's there for a specific reason. They don't want you to be negligent with national security information.
And she certainly was.
It's not good for somebody to be negligent with it because the information is too valuable. It's too important. It could cost someone's life. There's a certain amount of information that they have that even a congressman that I've talked to on the Intelligence Committee aren't allowed to see. That was put out on her server.
Amazing.
It's that sensitive. So that tells me it's information that reveals either possible undercover agents or possible sources and methods of how we collect information. That's the highest security category you can be in. And some of that information was put on that private server, laying out there for anybody to get, including Carlos Danger, otherwise known as former Congressman Weiner.
Anthony Weiner, and it would be stunning if that ends up, bringing Hillary Clinton and this whole mess down. It's Mayor Rudy Giuliani, always an absolute pleasure. So let's just talk intent for a second. I don't want to get lost in the weeds here. I'm not a lawyer, but I pretend like I am sometimes in what I do. I'm sorry, you made a private server. You intended to do that. You intended to keep it secret. You intended to hide the information. You intended to delete emails after the subpoena. I mean, enough, right?
Finish. You got it. I mean, intent is every trial I ever had, the judge charges the jury, in most cases, you cannot look into someone's mind, so you cannot know exactly what was in their mind. But you have to look at their actions to determine their intentions. Yeah. And it's one of the two biggest pieces of evidence of guilty intent is destruction of evidence and false statements.
Both right there.
We have massive destruction of evidence, and we have numerous false statements. I had one cell phone. No, you had 13 cell phones. I had no classified information on my server. No, you had about 1,000 confidential to top secret information that we know about.
Yeah.
You go on and on and on, one lie after another. I don't remember my entry interview by really it's done by the CIA to teach you how to handle secret information. She couldn't remember that. She shouldn't have been Secretary of State.
I couldn't agree more.
If she can't retain the rules for how you deal with secret information, I don't want you as my president. I mean, there's something wrong with it. Then she didn't remember her exit interview because she said she had a concussion and she had lost her memory. But the agent doesn't bother to ask her, how long had you lost your memory? Nor does the agent go and get the medical report that either proves it or disproves it. But in this case, I think the agent was stopped by the Department of Justice.
Right.
The Department of Justice refused the FBI subpoenas on a number of occasions. Now that tells me the fix was in the Justice Department.
You have that plus Loretta Lynch meeting with Bill Clinton, that plus the fact that President Obama was going on the campaign trail with Hillary 3 days later, and that has to be planned weeks ahead of time, as you know, Mr. Mayor. So at the end of it, they knew what the conclusion was going to be, whether Comey wanted to do something different or not. It's Mayor Rudy Giuliani. I want to get to the Trump stuff and everything you just said. We can go on for 8 hours with that. I just love talking to you. But Donald Trump has made up 13 points in the ABC poll that had him down by 13. He's made up. He's actually leading in the LA Times poll by 6 now. Did you see this coming? Did you expect this would come? And as many say, Republicans are coming home because you've been on the trail and you've seen the excitement, or is this solely because of the letter that Comey sent last week?
No. It started before that, actually. So some of these, the polls today probably are the first ones that really reflect this. Up until today, the polls where he's come back and gotten ahead are all pre-disclosure by the FBI. Yeah, here's what always gave me a great deal of encouragement over the last 3 months. Every rally I've been to, going back to August, which really is a long time before the election.
Right.
The enthusiasm of his supporters, I've never seen it before. Haven't seen it when I ran for president. I didn't see it with McCain. I didn't see it with Romney. I didn't even see it with Bush when Bush won and I campaigned with him. There's an intensity to his support that I think is going to make whatever his percentage is higher. Because, look, if I have 45% and you have 44%, my 45% is a lot more intense than yours.
Yeah.
I'm going to beat you by 3 or 4 points, not by 1. Because your people are going to stay home and my people are going to come out. So I think you have to read those polls, and then you have to look at the difference of intensity between his supporters and hers. And his supporters.
Well, and to that end, women are coming out for him more than anybody expected. Black folks are not coming out for Hillary Clinton as much in early voting as she assumed. And the pollsters, Rudy, all said, well, we included the black vote that Obama got in 08 and 012, and that's how he got those numbers. That's why it's correcting now. So they've been stacking the deck the whole time.
Well, yeah. First of all, it's just it makes no sense that she would get the same black vote as Barack Obama.
Agreed.
He inspired a certain thing in African Americans that I can understand, and the sense of identity. She's not going to have that sense of identity. Secondly, she's never particularly done a darn thing for the African American community.
Right.
Here you look at her own city of Chicago and Obama's own city of Chicago. 8 people got murdered over the weekend in Chicago. 8 people,
and that's not out of the ordinary. That's a usual weekend.
8 people. I mean, that's more people than probably got killed in Afghanistan.
That's a great point.
That's ridiculous.
That's a great point.
I mean, that's ridiculous. There is a shooting every 2 hours in Chicago, and it's been on the Democratic rule for 50 years. And if you want me to go through the cities on the Democratic rule for 20 or 30 or 40 years, I'm going to show you cities with high crime, tremendous poverty, and terrible schools. And Donald Trump has challenged that since August. Over and over, he says, what do you have to lose? Try my solution.
And he's right about that because, Obama today came out and said in front of a black audience, black people, you need to, if you want my legacy to be solid, you have to go out and vote for Hillary Clinton. And my thought, Rudy, was, hold on a second. What is your legacy in the black community? I don't understand. Because you don't have fewer people in poverty. It's more. You don't have more black folks employed. You have fewer. You don't have more black people safe in their neighborhoods. You've got fewer black people safe in their neighborhoods. I don't know what it is that he's running on or that he's hanging his hat on. That whole legacy argument is dumb.
Yeah, it is. It really is. The legacy is more poverty, more people out of work, schools deteriorated, and now, for a while, he had declining crime. For the last 2 years, last year was the largest increase in murder in 41 years.
Stunning.
So now he's leaving. Last year was the largest increase in the United States in murder.
It's stunning.
41 years.
It's Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Listen, I know how busy you are. You're flying around like a crazy person, and you're making it happen. And Donald Trump. By the way, I voted yesterday. I'm on the Trump train. By the way. All right. Going forward, just give me a quick prediction. I got to go to break here.
My prediction is he wins by 4 or 5% nationally, and probably a 2, possibly 3 state electoral margin.
A follow-up quickly. Do you think he gets Michigan and or New Mexico, which he's really doing well in right now?
Well, I know Michigan better, so I'm pretty comfortable with Michigan. New Mexico, I may or may not get to over the next 3 or 4 days. It depends. I know I'm going to Colorado. But I think he gets Michigan. I think he's got a real shot in Wisconsin. I think Ohio, where I am now, I never want to take anything for granted, but I think we're up by 5 or 6 here. I think we're going to win Ohio. I think he's pulling away in Florida. When I left, he was up by 3.
Yeah.
He's spending 2 days there. And then I wouldn't give up on Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin is a real possibility. That's a state that doesn't like corruption.
Right. They proved that with Scott Walker and how he took on the unions. Oh yeah.
The Midwest is more offended by what they see and feel here with Hillary than, let's say, the East Coast or the West Coast, where they're used to, more corruption. And the South, of course, is already with him, so it doesn't. So I think this also solves whatever problems people thought we had in North Carolina or Georgia.
And that's come around today as well. Mr. Mayor, thanks so much. Can we talk again, my friend?
Well, thank you, Pax. Absolutely. I enjoyed it a lot.
All right. Thank you so much. It's Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Quick break here. We're back after this with your phone calls. 1-800-383-9624, joepags.com. Back after this.